There's a piece of science that is taught in fragments. It appears in thermodynamics textbooks. It appears in quantum mechanics courses. It appears in astrophysics lectures, and in the margins of evolutionary biology, and in the philosophical implications of relativity. Each fragment, in isolation, seems like a technical fact about a narrow domain of physics, interesting perhaps, relevant to specialists, but not something with any bearing on the deepest questions of human existence. Nobody assembles the fragments. Nobody puts them side by side and shows you what they say when you read them together. And I have spent years thinking about why that is. Whether it is because the full picture is too unsettling, or too strange, or too far outside the boundaries of what any single scientific discipline claims as its territory. I think it is all three. Because when you assemble the fragments, when you take what thermodynamics says about energy, what quantum mechanics says about information, what astrophysics says about matter, and what relativity says about time, and you put them together into a single coherent picture, what you get is a statement about death that no religious tradition anticipated, no philosopher fully articulated. The statement is this: the universe does not have a mechanism for letting you truly die, not the matter you are made of, not the energy that drives you, not the information that encodes you, and this is the part that sits most uncomfortably in the mind, the causal trace that your existence has already pressed, permanently and irreversibly, into the structure of physical reality. This is not comfort dressed up as science. This is science that happens to produce something that feels like comfort. Once you understand it precisely enough to distinguish it from wishful thinking, the distinction matters. So let me be as precise as I know how to be. I am going to teach you the science that nobody teaches, not because it is secret, not because there is a conspiracy to suppress it, but because it requires assembling knowledge across 5 separate disciplines simultaneously, and the structure of how science is taught, by domain, by department, by narrow specialty, makes that assembly almost impossible in a conventional educational setting. We are going to move through 5 domains of knowledge. Each one contributes a piece of the argument. Each piece is individually well established, taught in universities, confirmed by experiment, accepted by the relevant scientific communities. The argument I am building is not speculative. Every plank of it rests on physics that has been tested and retested for decades. What is unusual is the synthesis. The willingness to look at what these 5 domains say collectively of whether the universe permits genuine disappearance, whether the laws of nature taken together allow for the kind of total cessation that the word death, in its ordinary usage, implies. The first domain is astrophysics, the origin and fate of domain 1. Astrophysics, the indestructible substance of you. The first thing nobody teaches you about death is where the material involved actually came from. Your biology textbook told you that you are made of cells. Your chemistry textbook told you that cells are made of molecules. Your physics textbook told you that molecules are made of atoms, and that it stopped. Because the next step, where did those atoms come from and how long have they existed, falls into astrophysics. And the astrophysics classroom does not usually connect that answer back to the person sitting in the chair. So let me connect it. The hydrogen atoms in your body, and hydrogen is the most abundant element in living tissue, composing roughly 60% of your body's atoms. Those hydrogen atoms are among the oldest objects in the universe. They were formed in the first 3 minutes after the Big Bang 13.8 billion years ago, when the universe had cooled sufficiently from its initial state to allow protons and electrons to combine into stable neutral atoms. Some of the hydrogen in your body has been hydrogen continuously since that moment. It has not been transformed into another element. It has not ceased to exist. It has simply changed contexts, from primordial plasma to interstellar gas to stellar nebula to planetary ocean to biological molecule, over a span of time so vast that every unit of human measure. The iron in your blood was in a supernova. The calcium in your teeth was forged in a stellar interior that no longer exists. The oxygen in your lungs was produced in nuclear reactions that occurred before the sun was born. These are not poetic statements. They are the outputs of spectroscopic analysis and nuclear physics calculations that have been verified repeatedly across multiple independent methods. Here's what this means for our argument. Every atom in your body has existed without interruption for between 4.6 billion and 13.8 billion years. It has survived the death of the star that created it. It has survived the formation of a solar system. It has survived 4 billion years of geological and biological cycling on this planet. And when the biological configuration you call your body ceases to function, those atoms do not cease to exist. They have never ceased to exist, and all the time they have been part of this universe. Death, from the perspective of the atoms involved, is not an ending. It is a change of assignment. Domain 2. Thermodynamics. The law that erases the word gone. The second domain is thermodynamics, and its contribution to our argument is the most unambiguous of the five. There is no interpretation required here. No philosophical reading between the lines. The statement is direct, and it has been confirmed by every experiment ever conducted in the history of physics. Energy cannot be destroyed. This is the first law of thermodynamics, and it is absolute, not approximately true, not true under normal conditions, absolutely universally, without exception true at every scale, in every physical system, across every domain of nature that has ever been studied. The total energy of the universe is constant. It was constant 13.8 billion years ago. It is constant now. It will be constant when the last star goes dark in the far future of the cosmos. What does this mean for a human body? It means that the energy currently organizing and animating you, the chemical energy in your molecular bonds, the thermal energy of your body heat, the kinetic energy of your circulation, the electrical energy. The second law of thermodynamics adds a clarification that is important to include honestly. While energy is conserved, it tends to become less concentrated, less organized, more evenly distributed over time. The useful organized forms of energy in your body will, after death, become less useful and more dispersed. This is the increase of entropy, and it is real. And it means that the energy of your body will become progressively harder to distinguish from the background thermal energy of the environment. The harder to distinguish is not the same as gone. Dispersed is not the same as destroyed. The first law holds regardless of the second. The energy exists. It always will. The universe simply does not know how to make it otherwise. The word gone in the vocabulary of thermodynamics is undefined. It refers to a process that has never been observed and that the fundamental equations of physics do not permit. Domain 3, quantum mechanics, the universe's unbreakable memory. The third domain is quantum mechanics, and it contributes something that thermodynamics alone cannot provide. The preservation not just of energy and matter, but of information, of the specific, structured, organized content that distinguishes your body from any other arrangement of the same atoms. In quantum mechanics, every physical system is described by a quantum state, a complete mathematical description of the system's properties, the correlations between its components, and the probabilities of every possible measurement outcome. The quantum state is, in the most technically precise sense available to physics, what a physical system is. It is not a description of the system from the outside. It is the system's complete physical reality, as far as quantum mechanics can access it. The equations that govern how quantum states evolve are called unitary transformations, and unitary transformations have a specific mathematical property. They are perfectly reversible. They preserve the total information content of the system. This means that if you know the complete quantum state of a system at any moment in time, the mathematics allows you to reconstruct its complete quantum state at any earlier moment. Information. The implications were catastrophic for quantum mechanics. If information could be destroyed in black holes, then the foundational equations of quantum theory, the unitary transformations that govern all quantum evolution, were wrong at some level. And everything built on those equations, which is essentially all of modern physics, would require rebuilding from the ground up. For 30 years, this was known as the black hole information paradox. Stephen Hawking defended his position. The rest of theoretical physics, almost without exception, pushed back. The argument involved some of the most technically sophisticated physics ever produced, including Juan Maldaceno's discovery of the AD-S-CFT correspondence, which demonstrated a precise mathematical equivalence between a theory of gravity and a quantum field theory that preserved information exactly. In 2004, at a conference in Dublin, Stephen Hawking conceded. He had been wrong. Information is not destroyed in black holes. It is encoded in the subtle quantum correlations of the Hawking radiation that the black hole emits over its lifetime, scrambled so thoroughly that recovery is inconceivable in practice. But present, the physics community spent 30 years, and the next two domains are the ones I find most personally astonishing. We are about to look at what neuroscience has discovered at the specific boundary between life and death, findings that the mainstream scientific community is still processing, and then at what the physics of time itself reveals about whether any moment of your existence is truly past. These are the pieces of the puzzle that nobody assembles in the same room. Stay with me. Subscribe now if you are not already, and let's finish this. What comes next is worth it. Domain 4. Neuroscience. What happens at the exact boundary? The fourth domain is neuroscience, specifically the neuroscience of what happens at and beyond the clinical boundary of death. And I want to approach this with a precision that popular accounts of this subject rarely maintain. The clinical definition of death has evolved substantially in the last 50 years, driven by advances in resuscitation technology that have made the boundaries of death practically movable in ways that were not previously possible. Cardiac arrest, the stopping of the heart, was once functionally synonymous with death. There was no technology to reverse it beyond a brief window. Now, with cardiopulmonary resuscitation, defibrillation, and targeted temperature management, people are routinely brought back from cardiac arrest that would have been irreversible a generation ago. Some of these patients have been clinically dead, no heartbeat, no blood circulation, no measurable organized brain activity, for periods ranging from minutes to, in rare hypothermic cases, hours. What they report when they return is the subject of a growing body of scientific literature that mainstream medicine has treated with a mixture of cautious interest and profound discomfort. The AWARE study. One patient provided a verified account of events, specific details of the room, specific actions taken by the medical team, a specific sequence of events that were confirmed accurate by the staff present. He reported this from a perspective inconsistent with his physical position on the table. His brain, during this period, showed no measurable organized activity. I want to be scientifically honest about what this data does and does not establish. One verified case is not a proof of any particular theory. The methodology of studying experiences during cardiac arrest faces fundamental challenges. Patients are, by definition, unable to communicate during the event, and retrospective reports are subject to memory reconstruction. Domain 5. The physics of time. Why nothing is ever truly past? The fifth domain is the one that most disrupts our ordinary intuitions, because it targets not our understanding of matter or energy or information, but our understanding of time. And time is the dimension in which we locate everything we call the past, the present, and the future. It is the dimension in which we place the moment of death, the moment something stops. And the physics of time has something very specific to say about whether stopping, in the sense we usually mean it, is physically coherent. The special theory of relativity confirmed by a century of experimental verification, establishes something that is easy to state and almost impossible to fully absorb. Time is not universal. It is not a global background against which events occur. It is a dimension of space-time, a geometric structure in which all events, at all times, exist with equal ontological status. The past is not gone. The future is not non-existent. They exist at their coordinates in space-time exactly as the present exists at its coordinates. Physicists call this the block universe or the eternalist view of time. The cosmologist Lee Smolin. There is a second implication that operates at a different scale, but points in the same direction. The light that your body emits right now, the infrared thermal radiation that any warm object continuously produces, is traveling outward at the speed of light in every direction. In 1 year, it will have reached every point within 1 light year of Earth. In 1,000 years, every point within 1,000 light years, and it does not stop. It does not decay into nothing. It continues carrying the specific quantum information of its emission through space for as long as the universe expands. The light that left your body when you were a child is somewhere in the universe right now. It is approximately 1 light year away from Earth, past the Oort cloud in the outer darkness between the solar system and interstellar space. It will never come back, but it has not ceased. It is moving through space at the maximum speed the universe permits, carrying in its quantum structure the information of that specific moment, that specific configuration of matter, that specific instant of your existence. The light your body emits in its final moments will travel outward for the age of the universe. The thermal radiation of your decomposition will disperse into the environment and eventually, over vast timescales, into the cosmic microwave background. The gravitational influence of your mass, the tiny but non-zero distortion. Let me now do the thing that science education almost never does. Let me put all 5 pieces on the table and read them together. Astrophysics tells us that the matter of your body is billions of years old, has survived the deaths of stars, and will continue cycling through the cosmos for as long. What do these 5 statements say together? They say that the word truly die, as the title of this video uses it, meaning a complete and permanent transition from existence to non-existence, a genuine erasure from the physical record of the universe, describes a process that the laws of nature do not permit. The matter persists, the information persists, the information persists, the causal influence persists. And the moments of your existence are permanent features of space-time. The biological organization ends. The neural architecture that supports conscious experience ceases to function. The specific arrangement of matter and energy that you currently identify as yourself will dissolve into the broader physical systems of the world. These things are true. They are significant. They are the reason death is a real event with real consequences. But they are not annihilation. The universe does not do annihilation. It has never done annihilation. In 13.8 billion years of cosmic history, not a single atom has ceased to exist. Not a single joule has been destroyed. Not a single quantum of information has been erased from the physical record. The universe has done transformation, redistribution, dispersal, and reorganization on scales from the subatomic to the galactic. It has not done nothing. It does not know how. I said at the beginning that nobody teaches this, and I want to return to that claim because it deserves more than the explanation I offered, that it requires assembling knowledge across 5 disciplines simultaneously. There is a second reason. The picture that emerges from this assembly is deeply uncomfortable in a way that is not easily categorized. It is not comforting in the way religious accounts of afterlife are comforting, because it makes no promises about the continuity of conscious experience. It is not nihilistic in the way that purely materialist accounts of death tend to be, because it refuses to accept that the physical substance of a person simply ceases. It falls between the categories that our culture has constructed for thinking about death, and things that fall between established categories are difficult to teach because there is no ready framework for receiving them. It also, if taken seriously, asks something of the living that most frameworks for thinking about death do not ask. It asks for a kind of responsibility that is larger than ordinary mortality implies. If your causal influence is already propagating outward through the universe at the speed of light, if the quantum information of your existence is permanently encoded in the state of reality, if every moment of your life is a real coordinate in space-time that cannot be erased, then the question of how you spend this particular moment, this specific configuration of matter and energy and information that you currently are, carries a weight that the conventional understanding of mortality does not fully capture. You're not deciding how to spend a brief interval before permanent erasure. You are deciding what to add to a permanent record, what causal trace to press into the fabric of a universe that will carry it forward without asking your permission and without offering a correction. That is a different relationship to time than the one most people operate with. And it is the relationship that the physics, assembled carefully and honestly, actually describes. The science nobody teaches is not a secret. It is available in any university library, in the papers of physicists who have spent their careers on these questions. What is missing is not the knowledge. What is missing is the willingness to read it all at once and sit with what it says. The universe will never let you truly die. Not because it is kind. The universe is not kind. It is indifferent in a way that is so complete and so impersonal that the word indifferent barely captures it. Stars explode without warning. Galaxies collide without ceremony. The physical laws that permit life are the same physical laws that permit mass extinction, planetary sterilization, and the eventual heat death of the cosmos. The universe does not arrange itself around the preferences of any particular arrangement of atoms, however complex or self-aware. But indifference, in the context of physics, is not the same as erasure. The universe is indifferent to your existence. It is equally indifferent to your non-existence. And the laws it operates by, the laws of thermodynamics, quantum mechanics, astrophysics, and the geometry of space-time, do not include a process by which the physical substance of a person is removed from the record. The matter of your body has been part of this universe for nearly its entire history. Stars lived and died to produce it. Geological cycles spanning hundreds of millions of years moved it through forms you will never be able to trace. Life on this planet organized it and reorganized it through 4 billion years of evolution before it arrived, temporarily, at the configuration you call yourself. And after this configuration ends, the material does not retire. It does not conclude. It continues its 13.8 billion year journey through forms and contexts and arrangements that are as far beyond our current imagination as your present existence was beyond the imagination of the ancient stars that forged your atoms. The energy that moves through you right now has been moving through the universe since before the Earth existed. The information encoded in your quantum state is part of the permanent physical record of a cosmos that we now know with considerable confidence does not delete its history. The moments of your life are coordinates in space-time, permanent, real, and is physically present in the structure of reality as the moment you are in right now. And the causal trace of your existence, the specific, unrepeatable, cumulative effect that your presence has had on the physical state of the universe, has already propagated beyond the reach of any instrument we will ever build into regions of space that will never be visited, carrying the information of your existence forward at the speed of light into a future that will unfold long after every human institution, every human language, and every human memory has dissolved back into the physical systems of the world. You are here. The universe knows it. And the universe, in the only way that physics permits it to know anything, will never forget, is the science nobody teaches, and now you know it. If this is the kind of conversation you have been looking for, one that takes the hardest questions seriously and follows the physics wherever it leads, subscribe. This is what we do here. No softening. No comfortable shortcuts. Just the universe as it actually is, described as precisely as the science allows. I will see you in the next one.